What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. After Sound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here in this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. All right, guys, I want to talk about the amount of BCX, or I guess maxed copies, that we will see when Rebellion goes live. Now, assuming there's no delays, we see it on the 5th. That is the go live date. There have been 500,000, almost 500,000 packs sold out. We didn't quite sell out of the pre-sale, but we're just going to round up from 492,000 up to 500,000 and just use that as a bit of a proxy for right now. So when you look at that and then consider the fact that 3,400 packs is roughly what it takes to create a maxed regular foil deck, well, what you end up getting is about 147, we'll just round up to about 150 maxed regular foil decks that can be created from that. Yes, there will be able to be some, gold foil decks. I think gold foil is like 25,000, something like that. So there will be some gold foil decks thrown in there, but let's just say like 150 decks in total that are maxed out. Now, if you look at this from a gold perspective, right? Gold is roughly, or diamond, I would say, is you need 2x the amount in order to max over gold, right? So, for example, you need 60 BCX for a rare, like a summoner, for gold, whereas you need 115 for a max copy in diamond. On the legendary side, you need 6 for gold, and then you need 11 for diamond. So, again, just rough numbers here, which means that you'd have roughly 150 maxed copies of Rebellion running around there, or at least individual cards. There'd be 150 max copies. Or if you want to do this for gold, there'd be about 300. Now, that's not very many players. That's not very many people. That's why I'm relatively bullish on the fact that I think we're going to sell more packs, especially once things get going and once it goes live. But what I wanted to share with you here is just kind of taking a look at the player base. I mean, there's names that I see here, and names that I see here all the way down. Bjangles, shout out to Bjangles and the People's Guild podcast, that are on the what's this called, on the leaderboards, right, going all the way up to the 100th place. And if you look at the bottom of the 100th place, right, this is 3414, which means we are in Diamond 1. So I know I'm obviously only in Silver because I haven't played Modern in a while, but that's only Diamond 1. So again, I don't want to necessarily assume how many players there are in Diamond. I would imagine, right? Diamond 1 only makes up a certain crux, especially since we're relatively early in the season, right? First third of the season here. But, we could probably say that there's 300 players playing competitively in Diamond. If you just do, 100 in Diamond 1, 100 in Diamond 2, and 100 in Diamond 3. Now, obviously, Champion is probably a little bit more difficult to figure out. But in terms of people who are there right now, we are at 81 is what it seems. So there's a couple folks who are technically in Champion, but seems like they've dropped down. But 81. So again, we're going to be right on the cusp there. But where it gets interesting is obviously when you go down into something like gold, right? So when you go into gold, obviously this only goes up to the 100th place. But 2,200 here for the top of gold. Let's see where this lands. So 2,200 is going to be smack dab kind of in the middle, like gold 2. So granted, there's a lot of people who are trying to rise the ranks. I would say that we probably do need more than anywhere from 150 max copies or 300 gold league copies. So what's going to be, what I'm going to be following as we go through this, and I've said this before, I think the summoners are going to be the main components here, the main things that people will need. There's plenty of other cards, plenty of other units within Chaos Legion across all, the core set, Rift Watchers, reward cards. There's a lot of different options there. So the real spice, as is kind of dictated by what the team is doing with tactics and dual element and stuff like that, that is all going to be on the summoner end. And so when you think about how many summoners are in order for people to be competitive, those are, that's going to be, there's not very many. So I don't know how many we sell on day one. I'm kind of just throwing it out there to see what people think we will end up getting, because 500,000 packs is still a lot. And granted, the player base is not as big today as it was previously. Obviously, there's a little bit of hype. There's a little bit of momentum that we have going into this. And I've seen a lot of folks coming in out of the woodwork or people coming back to the game, which is always good to see. But my question for you is, how many packs do you think we're going to sell week 1, right? Assuming that 500,000 packs is roughly enough for 150 max decks, right? how many more people are going to be chasing maxed copies of cards? And here's the thing, right? Not everybody's going to be going for a maxed deck, right? But there will be certain cards that people need or want at max level or maxed for gold, and they will be chasing those. I believe the scarcity is going to drive the value of those cards up. And as Darkest Night says, there will be cards that people will be chasing. I think summoners are an easy thing for people to go and chase just because they're going to add a lot of variety, but there's probably going to be some interesting combos there. There's probably going to be some fantastic and fun new units that people can use that will be, adding into the mix, and essentially like maybe they'll combo well with like a Riftwatcher summoner or something, right? Or I don't know why I said Riftwatcher summoner, but you get what I'm saying. So, overall, kind of what I'm expecting just based on this and where the player base is at. I know we joke about the fact there's like 500 real players or 5,000 real players. Obviously, a lot of that is at the bottom feeding. And when we look at like the amount of botted accounts or the bot farms that are happening in Wild Bronze, that's going to be completely irrelevant to this conversation, just because in Bronze and in Wild, you don't need any of the newer cards. Now, what'll be interesting, and keep this in mind, this is something to consider. Once things do transition over, the starter cards in both Modern and Wild will also change over. So in Bronze, sure, I'm sure you could set your bot, or the bot farms will be able to have a setting where they don't touch any of the other cards. They don't use anything that's considered a ghost card. But if they wanted to maybe get a little bit of a competitive advantage, you could have 50,000 bots coming in looking for one BCX of a summoner. That could make things interesting, right? So again, I don't think that's necessarily going to happen, but if it did, for whatever reason, especially obviously we don't have bots in Modern, but if people wanted to start playing in Modern, alt accounts, whatever the case is, that could make for something very interesting as we moved forward. But that's all I really want to talk about today, is the fact that there's only 150 max copies that have currently been purchased. And while I think the packs are obviously very top heavy, a lot of people went for leaderboard spots on the pre-sale. They'll probably be distributing those or selling those once it gets a little bit closer to par, in terms of like the price being very similar or close to what the store is selling it for. So, ultimately, I think that, we're going to be in an interesting spot here, but I don't think 500,000 packs, even for the player base as it stands, is enough. Now, how much and how far do we go on day one, week one, maybe 2 weeks of Rebellion? My guess, and again, this is just pure speculation here, my guess is we're not there, but we're not too far away. So although I'd love to say we get to, another 500,000 packs, 1 million in total within like the first couple of weeks of Rebellion, I also think that I'm probably being a little too bullish in that scenario. I think people are going to wait and see what the true meta cards are. And then the beautiful thing about that is, as these cards are discovered and people then go out and try to purchase them, it'll drive, the scarcity should drive the value up. And then of course the estimated value of each pack starts to go up. And then you're going to get some people who start to gamble, right? In a way where they'll just, if it's $6 pack value versus $4 in the store, people are going to take a chance on that. And especially if you do that at scale, buying like 100 packs, right? Your averages will be relatively high. So I think we'll start to see that over time. Does that happen within the first week or two? Maybe, maybe not, right? It all depends on how quickly the market kind of finds its new equilibrium. But I will say this, it's happening over the holidays. It's going to be an exciting time to watch. People will be busy with family, but at the same time, hopefully not doing much and spending a lot of time here on Splinterlands. So we'll see how the market shakes out then. But let me know your thoughts. I'm going to go with about 250,000 packs by, let's do it this way. By the end of December, again, assuming that it comes out on the 5th, right? December 5th. Let's say by the end of December, which is almost a full month, how many packs do you think are going to sell? I'm actually going to up it from 250 to 300 so that by the end of the year, 2023, my official prediction based on nothing outside of the speculation in this video is going to be about 800,000 packs in total, right? 500 for the presale, or almost 500 for the presale, and then another 300 or so for the general sale in the month of December. But just putting this out there now, letting it sit, and we'll see what people say. Curious to know your predictions, but I'll catch y'all in the next video and see you around the game. Take care.